you'd be surprised. I mean, if you look at it, animals don't suffer as much as human beings do. Why? Because as long as their basic necessities are met, they're okay. Human beings, on the other side, they suffer what happened 10 years ago. They might be still suffering that. And they continuously suffer what might happen 10 years ahead of them. What happens tomorrow? They suffer that as well.
So are you saying that animals, yes, physically they may suffer because they may get injured or break their leg, but on a psychological plane, an animal has no sense of the past or the future, probably. Is that way?
They just live in the present. Yes. Okay. So the two tools which have been given to human beings, जिसको कहते हैं ना अशरफुल मखलूकात है इंसान, वो क्यों है? Because you can reason, you can think, you can use your mind. वही चीज अगर इंसान की सफरिंग का बायस बन जाए, it's a tragedy, isn't it?
Yeah, because what you were meant to control is now controlling you.
Yes. You are at the mercy of your own mind. If this is what's beginning to happen. Now, you ask...
आपको एक इशारा जरूर देना होगा क्योंकि हमारे जो सामईन हैं, listeners हैं, वो इस puzzle को definitely crack तो करना चाहेंगे. And I'm sure that the answer cannot be a short, simple one. Lekin as a clue, what direction can one take from this? The direction is control your mind before you become a victim of it. So are there any directions, big pictures, answers on this one, and then one could go into the details?
You see, the important thing here is that mind in itself has a nature. And when we are born as human beings, there are only two things we have a compulsivity towards doing. One is to survive. The other thing is to create. That's it.
To survive and to create.
The other aspect is learned through education.
The create part.
To develop the faculty of mind itself.
Okay. And education is meant to do that.
Yes, in order to discern the difference between what it means to have a mind which controls you or what it means to be in control of your mind.
Right.
A human being constantly shifts between the equation of pain and pleasure. We want to run away from pain and move towards pleasure. Isn't that how it is generally, right?
Cool. I mean, I can see myself running away from a lot of pain when I go to the dentist, for instance.
Yes, and we want to move towards pleasure.
Yeah.
In every aspect and regard. Now, unguarded thoughts would mean it doesn't matter how you're getting that pleasure, as long as you're getting the pleasure. Right. The role of education then becomes to make you aware. So you said, is there any way to control your mind then?
Yeah.
Is there any way to control your mind? The first step is to understand, and we are very apt and trained in doing that. What do I want? What do I want? What do I want? But rarely do we question ourselves, why do I want what I want? That is the kind of education that is required if you are to learn how to control your mind. Because, one of the most famous kind of philosophy in itself is know thyself, know yourself. Who are you?
Yes. Yes.
Who are you? And how do you find that out? Who are you?
Mm.
Now, there must be times, and I would really like to ask you if you've ever experienced that, because I surely have many times. अक्सर कभी आपके साथ ऐसे हुआ that you were in a situation and maybe in an argument, and it got really heated up, and you were like so cross at that person, whoever that was, and you could feel that this person is trying to win this argument,
Mm.
and you're getting so crossed now, and you exactly know this perfect response you have to give, in order to win that argument. And you exactly know that it's gonna pierce that person's heart and mind if I say this to this person, or in a relationship or whenever. But something inside of you says to you, are you sure you want to say this? Because if you say this is going to be it. There's going to be no turning back from there.
Would this be
And even
would this be consequential thinking of sorts? Think of the consequence before you act. I mean,
yeah,
would that be part
yes,
of education?
yes. And this word consequential is a very interesting word, because this is what defines being self-aware, not just aware.
Right.
Being aware means you are aware of the situation. You are aware of what I'm about to do. But being self-aware means you're aware of the consequences of what you're about to do. That is an entirely different thing.
Fair enough. And again, when you talk of consequences could be in the immediate term and in the long term. And I feel that at times when I'm making decisions or thinking of taking an action, so I do take a pause and say, well, if I did this, what likely effect is it going to have? And not just now, but for the coming generations. Am I setting a precedence? And if I am, is this the precedence I would like to be replayed over and over again? So now this thought process are you saying this is being self-aware to an extent?
Self-aware in itself is like a hierarchy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's pause here. So what we could do, well, Syma, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I
It's
thought
perfect.
that, what you have really done is given us a very good sense of unguarded thoughts. Unguarded thoughts are the ones that emerge when we're not in control of our mind, from what I gather. And
Yes.
when we are not in control of our mind, then it is driven by control and manifests itself through behaviors that are very draconian, strict, autocratic, and when we see the exercise of power, and as a result, unconsciously, we end up harming as opposed to helping a situation. And what you are urging us all to do is to control the mind so that these unguarded thoughts do not play out and harm you. तो इसके लिए आपने जो इशारा दिया है वो self awareness की तरफ दिया है.
Yes.
And of course, it's a journey that we need to continue, inshallah, next month, if not this month. And you said that there are different levels of self-awareness. Is that right?
Yes.
So how many levels are we going to cover in our next conversation? Could you just shed some light on that?
It's a journey, basically. In a nutshell, I would say it's a journey from moving from compulsivity towards consciousness, towards being conscious.
Okay. From
reacting
to conscious.
To responding. Rather than reacting to situations, you learn how to respond to situations. In reactions, you are not present. Your mind chooses what you have to do. Right. But when you respond, you make the choice, not your mind.
Right. And so what you're saying is that our reactions come from our subconscious, our unconscious? habits that we acquire unknowingly?
Through education, we bring the subconscious into the conscious.
All right. Okay.
That's what it is. And that is why education, learning, knowledge, talim, ilm, whatever you want to call it, is very important.
No, but the तरबियत का भी तो उसमें पहलू होगा ना.
हमारे मजहब ने, इनफैक्ट दुनिया के तमाम मजहब, they indicate the importance, they highlight the importance of education, of learning.
So does education incorporate not only ilm, knowledge, but also tarbiyat, or is education a narrower term?
Education, true education, is tarbiyat. And it is not supposed to tell you what to think. It's supposed to train you how to think.
Good. So we'll take it from there in the next episode.
Perfect.
I'm sure there are sufficient teasers here for our listeners to come back and want more. And I'm so glad that you're sharing with us your insights on something that concerns us all. And
thank you. Thank you.
आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. Inshallah, see you soon. I hope next month. And
Inshallah.
schedule another talk.